Our world is at war. We're not at war with each other. We are not at war with other nations. But we are at war with a virus. A virus which doesn't discriminate as to who it impacts or it affects. We are at war. At the time of Jesus, the Jewish people were preparing for a war. The Jewish people were an occupied people by the Romans. And for several generations, the Jewish people had been preparing for a war. Many of the young men were given military training. Even the apostles, even in our gospel today, demonstrate that they had skills with how to use a sword, how to defend themselves, and how to fight. The Jewish people were preparing for a great war. And they were waiting for a great general or a king to rise up amongst the Jewish people to be their Messiah, to be their leader in the war. The great Jewish-Roman War, the first Jewish-Roman War, actually started in the year 66, about 30 years after Jesus. But at the time of Jesus, they were waiting for this Messiah to come. The people were getting ready for a war. And Jesus comes into Jerusalem, and he comes in as a leader, as a Messiah and as a king. But he doesn't come in as a Messiah or a king who is bringing war. At that time in history, when a king or a governor or an emperor would enter into a city, if he was coming during a time of war, if he was coming to bring destruction or to conquer, he would come riding on a horse. This was a sign of strength, of power. But if a king or a governor or an emperor came into a city riding on a donkey, this was a sign that they were coming to bring peace. They were the one who were to be the peacemaker. Jesus doesn't come into Jerusalem on Palm Sunday riding on a horse. He doesn't come to bring war. He comes to bring peace, to bring freedom, and to bring renewal, not just to the Jewish people, but to the whole world. We are at war, but we don't look to God to come as the one who's coming on a horse to conquer. But we come to see God coming amongst us as the one who brings peace, the one who brings freedom, the one who brings healing, and the one who brings renewal. Today we begin the holiest of weeks in our calendar as Christians, Holy Week. We begin today with Palm Sunday and we lead into Holy Week towards Holy Thursday, where we have the celebration of the Mass of the Lord's Supper, where Jesus united, gathered closely with his closest friends to share in the Jewish Passover meal, where God decided that the people's future was not going to be death and slavery, but it was going to be freedom and life. We won't be able to gather in the same way that we normally gather for the Mass of the Lord's Supper, but this year for Holy Thursday, we gather in our homes and we unite together via this technology, knowing that we gather to celebrate this Passover because God gives us a future, and our future is bright. Our future is not death and slavery. It's not war and destruction. It is peace, it's freedom, it's renewal and new life. Then on Good Friday, we will enter into the journey with Christ to his cross, to his death, where Jesus is isolated, where Jesus emptied himself of everything, including his own life. And he does that not to cause war, not to cause angst, but to cause renewal, to bring about new life. And then we get to Holy Saturday, the Easter Vigil, and then Easter Sunday. And we know that Jesus Christ has conquered death, and that we have peace, that we have life, and that we have renewal. This year, while we are at war with a virus, let us enter deeply into this experience of what Jesus is bringing. He's not asking us to pick up clubs and swords and to fight each other or to fight other countries. He's asking us to be resurrected, to recognize our own failings, to change, but to then be people of peace, to receive that peace from God, that freedom, that renewal, that new life. Make this week a truly holy week. Pray every day. Participate in our liturgies wherever you're able to. We'll have liturgies in the morning and in the evening every single day, Tuesday through to Sunday. Participate. Make this a holy week. Not a week to be perhaps like Peter, who gets out his sword and cuts off the ear of one of the guards in the garden. Let's not be the ones who pick up clubs to fight. But let us be the true disciples of Jesus, who walk with Jesus in his death, but rejoice with Jesus in his resurrection, and then create a community that's not during a time of war, but a community that reflects a time of peace. We are at war with a virus, but let us be people of peace.